Most luxury items are not investments. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leslie. We talk about all things luxury shopping and handbags. If you love those things, make sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do post videos twice a week. So I feel like I bring a unique perspective into luxury shopping because I'm by no means rich. I'm not a Nepo baby. I don't have generational wealth, only in my dreams. And 99% of the items that I own are things because I've worked hard for it, made my own money, and bought it myself. So that's kind of the lens that I'm looking at a lot of these things with. And some of these are fashion hot takes, some of these are store experience hot takes, but I wanted to run through 7 of my most controversial hot takes. So let's get into it. Starting with number 1, I am not opposed to price increases. Cue the shock, cue the gasps. I feel like, of course, there's sticker shock when you do see a price increase. The watch that I want, the Cartier Bang Noir, has gone up from $12,000 last year when it was on my wish list to now over $17,000, right? There's, of course, this initial sticker shock. I think price increases are great if you already own the item. So a lot of my items, especially Louis Vuitton, Celine, Chanel, of course, based on how much the prices have gone up throughout the time that I've held onto the item, it increases my resale value. And I feel like that kind of eventually breaks even with all the new stuff that I end up buying. I look at my collection as a whole as like nothing is forever, nothing is permanent. And so for me, it makes sense. I kind of chalk it up to like it evens out at the end of the day because of course there's price increases. I pay the newer, higher price, but I sell some of my older items in my collection higher because I've held on to it and the prices have gone up. As much as people don't like price increases, I get it. I mean, the sticker shock is 100% there, but I don't hate it, especially when you consider the fact that it increases the value of your current collection. With that said though, my hot take number 2 is that most luxury items are not investments. I am like so peeved by this, and maybe this is because I studied business, I don't know. I see this as a wedding content creator as well. People will list like their prices and they will call them investments. This is not an investment. When you invest in something, you are expecting a return on your investments. Nobody invests in anything expecting to lose money. And so I think most of your luxury items are not going to be investments. Shoes, not investments. I have a pair of Jimmy Choos brand new that I've been trying to sell for the last 2 years. They originally cost $1,100 and I can't even sell them for $300, right? And so there's a lot of things that are not investments. A lot of my handbags I will sell at a loss. I might be close to breaking even, but at the end of the day, it's still a loss. The few exceptions for this is Louis Vuitton canvas if you bought, years ago. Hermes Birkins, Hermes Kellys, even Chanel classic flaps are not an investment because if you buy a classic flap now, they retail for what? $11,000, $12,000. You look on the resale market and you can find one that is like new condition, excellent condition for $8,000 to $9,000. So you're still losing $3,000 to $4,000 if you were to sell. And of course, that's expecting that you are getting 100% of what you were getting, if you list it on Fashion Power, Rebag, or which normally you don't. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I know this perpetuates the idea of like irresponsible spending to justify it by saying it's an investment, but majority of people are not reselling the things after a couple years. On top of that, you might make your money back if you're lucky. You might be close to breaking even, but you're very rarely going to earn a profit unless, you bought it in Europe and then you're selling it here. You bought it a couple years ago or whatever. Very rare situations will you actually make a profit. Moving over to bag etiquette. I want to believe that if you own an item, you can wear it whenever, wherever, however you would like. If you would like to wear your Birkin on your head as a hat, by all means, you paid for it, you should do it. But I feel like the unspoken rule is that there is such thing as bag etiquette. And I think that's where people have a lot of criticism in terms of like fashion as a whole, because of course a bag is an accessory, but how you style it makes the outfit, right? You don't want to go to a black tie wedding wearing your Louis Vuitton Neverfull. Can you bring your Louis Vuitton Neverfull to a wedding? Of course. But does it complete the outfit? Does it look best? Are there other bags that are better suited for this outfit? Absolutely. I think there's a time and place for bags. and what to wear, when to wear them. I also mentioned this with, you know, bringing your designer bags to work. I don't think I would do it until I really fully suss out the work environment. I very much believe workplace politics is a thing. Maybe it's the industry that I'm in. Maybe I'm a little bit scarred, but I do believe that you should kind of suss out the environment before bringing, you know, your $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 bag to the workplace, especially if you are, you know, more junior, more entry level, and suss out like what other people are wearing, whether they care. As much as I want to sit here and say, you know, you should wear whatever you want whenever you want, I think there is a time and place for when to use which bag. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the store experience and, you know, sales associates in general. I see this a lot in my comments when I share that I had a bad experience at a store, or like other people are sharing that they had a bad experience. Without fail, someone will comment, they think they own the brand when in reality, they just work there, they can't even afford to shop there, etc., alluding to the fact that the sales associates don't make any money and can't afford to shop at the brand that they work for. And having close friends in the industry and seeing this for years and years and years, I have to say this is completely incorrect. Of course, nobody deserves to be looked down on, you know, when they're shopping. Nobody deserves to feel that way and disrespected into a store when you are spending, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on an item. But when you assume that you shouldn't respect the sales associate because they can't afford the brand, you know, two wrongs don't make a right here. I have seen firsthand sales associates make very good money. They are based on commission, but realistically, they only need a handful of VIC clients. These clients are dropping, you know, $200,000, $500,000 on like one or two shopping trips that they don't really need to rely on your $4,000 purchase. $4,000 purchase to me is a pretty big purchase, right? I'm not over here spending $200,000 on a necklace. That is where the majority of their commission and their income comes from. It's rarely going to be from someone that is just walking into the store, first-time customer. So of course, it's not great that they don't treat you with respect, but you know, you don't have to shop there. You don't have to give them commission. There's always someone else out there that will be willing to help you and give you that respect. But I think the assumptions that these employees can't afford the brand that they shop for is very incorrect. The next one we have, and maybe a little bit less hot take, but price does not guarantee craftsmanship. I would love to sit here all day and believe that I'm paying $4,000 for a Dior bag and that this is going to be the best quality ever. We saw it with the book tote, or allegedly we saw it with the book tote, that the book tote allegedly cost like $56 to make or whatever it is. I don't think they officially identified which bag it was that cost this much, but I think you can assume which bag cost that much, right? And like, as much as we want to believe that the price that we're paying equals quality, equals craftsmanship, it's just not the case. At the end of the day, you are paying for the brand. I have absolutely no shame in admitting some of the bags that I have, I bought because of the hype, I bought because of the brand, I bought, you know, whatever. I don't think you can equate price and quality and craftsmanship. I will say they're typically a little bit better in terms of customer service than if you were to walk in, you know, you get a bag from Target, they're gonna be like, oh, you have a hole in your bag? Sucks for you, buy a new one, right? I think a lot of brands, I know Goyard had issues with the collar transferring onto the shirt or like melting onto someone's shirt, and she fixed it. And so I want to believe that the customer service and the customer, like the aftercare is there for clients, but it's not to say that just because you're paying $4,000 for something, it does not mean that the craftsmanship and the quality is guaranteed to be there. For me, there was a time, I think when I was first getting into luxury, that I was almost shocked that certain items weren't holding up. I was shocked that I was having glazing issues, you know, whatever it might be. And it comes down to the fact that I was paying for the branding, not because of the quality and the craftsmanship. And I think at the end of the day, you just have to accept it and hope that you don't run into any issues. And if you do, hope that you find a sales associate nice enough to help you take care of it. The next one we have is influencer gifting. I kind of understand from both sides, right? I do get some bags gifted to me, you know, usually from more affordable, like mid-tier luxury brands. And then on the flip side, you see these larger creators getting gifts from Dior, from Louis Vuitton, from Chanel. And I think a lot of people who, especially they've been shopping luxury for a while, they've been building their collection for a while, they hate it. Of course, nobody wants to watch you get a $5,000 bag for free just because you post it on the internet versus everyone else, all the regular people, got to pay $5,000 for it. Like, of course, nobody wants to see that. I get it, because sometimes I will see these unboxing videos and be like, Louis Vuitton, where's mine? where's mine? But I do feel like it makes a very big impact. I see it being on the influencer side. I see the fact that, you know, I was one of the first people to talk about Palen on TikTok, and look at how much this brand has gone, let alone I haven't gotten a dime from that brand, but that's besides the point. I think that there's a very big push in influencer marketing. I see the effect of it being on the creator side and then also being on the consumer side, and seeing how that really impacts my purchasing decisions as well. I think it even makes more of an impact compared to seeing Zendaya with the Capucine, because like, of course someone like Zendaya is going to carry a luxury handbag, right? And she's probably being paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to rep Louis Vuitton. But when you see an influencer that you relate to, someone that you kind of resonate with, and they're carrying a bag, it's gonna, you know, flip a switch inside of you, be like, oh, well, she's like, you know, I relate with her. I feel like I could get this. Because like, let's be honest, nobody's relating to Zendaya. Like, love her, queen, but there's a reason why we can't relate to her, right? So I really do believe that influencer marketing, as much as, you know, you don't want to believe that it works, as much as you want to say that it waters down the brand, I do believe it makes an impact for their bottom line, and I see why they do it. Does it suck to be a regular person and have to spend $5,000 on a bag? Absolutely. But I understand why companies are shifting their model into this perspective. With that said, the last thing I want to include is that there is no such thing as timeless anymore. I don't know if there ever was such thing as timeless, but especially when I'm thinking about luxury handbags, I think there was a time that I wanted to emphasize getting handbags that were classic and timeless. Think the Speedy, Never Full, you know, bags like that. And unfortunately, with the speed of social media and how quickly trends are moving these days, there's no such thing as timeless. And I think the brands know that to a certain extent, which is why when they gift the bags to influencers, they're expecting that this is going to be an it bag and that people move on in the next season. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've started to remove the word timeless from my vocabulary when I'm describing handbags, because I think at the end of the day, it can be a permanent item in your collection, but it doesn't mean that it's timeless. It doesn't mean that it's going to always be top searched item on Google, whatever. We see it with the Speedy. I feel like everybody was loving this bag for a while, then nobody was seen with it, and then now everybody wants the Speedy that's redesigned as the P9, and then now everybody wants a slouchy Speedy again, right? The way that trends move, it's just so circular that it's hard to describe as something as timeless. If you keep it for 20 years, of course it's gonna come back eventually, probably, but most of the time the items that you're getting are not gonna be timeless. I have started viewing my collection with a very short-term lens. You know, if I see myself using it for the next couple years, I'll keep it. And then when I'm not having fun with it anymore, when I don't reach for it anymore, then that's when it's time to sell, instead of keeping and holding everything that I get, hoping that the trend comes back. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit more of a chit-chatty kind of video, but let me know in the comments what other hot takes you guys have, whether you agree, whether you disagree. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna be offended because, you know, it's just bags. It's not that serious. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll leave another video for you guys here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!